My Clawdbot made me this at 4 a.m. It looked up what happened on this day in history, generated the image, pushed it to my terminal display before I even woke up. I didn't ask for this specific one. It just makes me something new every morning. And that's the smallest thing it does. Let me show you the rest. Important note first. You need to be careful. One misconfigured agent cost someone $120 overnight. But I'll show you the 3 guardrails that prevent that. And now, let's see what's actually possible. Quick side note about naming. What started out as Clawdbot, then rebranded to Moldbot, and I refused to use that. And now, hopefully, the final rebrand to OpenClaw. And that's what I'm going to call it from now on. It's OpenClaw. But it's a good old Clawdbot, you know. What I'll be showing you next is not what OpenClaw can do. I'll be showing what people are actually doing with it every day. 9 automations that actually work, plus 4 wild builds that show the ceiling, and some guardrails to keep it all safe. If you're new, OpenClaw is an always-on AI assistant that actually does things, not just chats. It runs commands, reads files, messages you. It's usually on a Mac Mini, a VPS, and now also as a Cloudflare worker, so you don't need to buy a Mac Mini if you don't want to. Let's start with daily productivity and a morning briefing to start the day properly. Here's my morning briefing with some info edited out for privacy. Every day at 7 a.m., OpenClaw checks my calendar, checks the weather, scans my emails for anything urgent, and sends me a summary on Telegram before I'm even out of bed. But here's where it gets interesting. Nader Dabit shared his setup, and it's basically a personalized newsletter replacement. He's got 7 jobs running every morning. 6 personalized digests, GitHub trending, daily motivation, top hacker news, AI Twitter digest, curated exactly to his interests, delivered before he's out of bed. In his words, this will replace almost all newsletters I'm subscribed to. And that 7th cron job, we'll get to that in the wild stuff section. It's something else. Email triage is where OpenClaw starts earning its keep. One user ran it for a month to automatically unsubscribe from unwanted newsletters, draft responses for routine emails, flag anything that needs personal attention. From my experience, it works much better than any filters I had set up throughout the years, and I have a lot of them. But here's the wild story. Nikita accidentally started a fight with Lemonade Insurance. His OpenClaw was handling email triage, and when the insurance company sent a rejection, his OpenClaw drafted a more assertive response than he would have written. And after that email, they started to reinvestigate the case instead of instantly rejecting it. The AI wrote a better dispute letter than the human, and it worked. You can set up OpenClaw to respond to emails automatically, but I keep it draft only. The agent optimizes for effective, not necessarily polite or relationship preserving, but I make the final decision. Sometimes it's too much, but sometimes it's just right. And it's not just inbox triage. Sebastian shared a session where OpenClaw drafted 21 investor emails in one go. Startup founders spend hours on investor communications. This handled it in minutes, still draft only, still human reviewed, but the heavy lifting was done. Quick note, I built Clawdverse.com, the community showcasing what's possible with OpenClaw, and I need to rename it. If you want more inspiration, you can browse the categories and use cases there. There's more than enough to be inspired and to find something useful for you personally. For a Homelab or when you run any equipment, OpenClaw runs daily report scripts, suppresses known issues, sends a summary, and all systems normal is the goal. You only want to hear from it when something is wrong. It works for anything with dashboards, Homelabs, sales metrics, error logs, analytics. Only ping me when something changes. Moving from personal productivity to business use cases. these get more powerful and need more careful permission setup. People run some really impressive stuff with OpenClaw. For example, one bot watches the company Slack channel continuously. It responds to employee and customer questions. It forwards important notifications to Telegram so the founder doesn't miss them. And in one instance, it also fixed a production bug without being asked. The bot noticed an issue in the discussion, investigated the code, and submitted a fix. Now, autonomous bug fixing is exactly the kind of thing that makes security people nervous. And they're right about that. But the correct setup requires trust in the agent and, more importantly, careful scoping of what the agent can access and can do on its own. But for a small team where the founder can't be everywhere at once, this is game-changing. The AI becomes a first responder for customer issues, giving you back time to focus on building and other important stuff. PR review with feedback sent to Telegram. Here's Billy's workflow. Open code, finishes changes, opens a PR, then OpenClaw reviews the diff and sends the verdict to Telegram. The verdict is that it needs at least one critical fix, and otherwise, nice work. This is developer specific, but the idea works anywhere. Something happens in one system, the AI analyzes it, and you get a notification wherever you want. Now we are going multi-agent and assembling a dream team. This is the most sophisticated pattern I've seen. Multiple specialized agents working together. You send on Telegram, we need a retry mechanism. Orchestrator picks it up, routes all the tasks to a builder, reviewer, or deployer, coordinates their work, and 3 minutes later, the PR is up and QA approved. And the author of this workflow said it best. Work that used to be a 100 to 100K consulting engagement can now be done in a day. This is advanced, but it shows the ceiling of what's possible when you invest in the architecture. And what's the ceiling today will be the floor tomorrow. Remember that $120 overnight disaster? Here's what happened. A user set up their agent to install some Python dependencies. Simple task. But one package failed to install. The agent tried again and again, and for 6 hours straight while the user slept. No max retry limit, no timeout, just burning through API calls, trying to debug a pip install error that was never going to work. Woke up to $120 bill for one failed pip install. None of that means that you shouldn't use OpenClaw. It just means you need guardrails, and I'll cover those after the wild stuff. Those guardrails I talked about earlier don't hold you back. They are what make the crazy stuff possible. Here's what people build when they trust their setup. No deep dives here, just look what's possible. Let's go. Camera trigger automation for smart alerts or for taking nice pictures. Max rigged his roof camera to OpenClaw, and when the sky is pretty, the agent takes a snapshot and sends a notification. Internet of Things meets AI. The camera doesn't know what pretty means, but OpenClaw does. And you can define any trigger you want. It can be a pretty sky or detected motion. Based on the trigger, agent understands the context, makes the decision, and takes the action. Terminal e-ink dashboard. Terminal is a nice e-ink device that I have on my desk. E-ink is perfect for dashboards. It doesn't need constant updates. Battery lasts weeks. You can push any dashboard you want, schedule, weather, metrics. And this is what I usually have on my terminal: weather conditions and my GitHub contributions. But dashboards can be boring, so I built something called Moment Before. Every day at 4 a.m., my OpenClaw looks up what happened on this day in history, picks one event, then generates a wood carving style image of the moment before that event happened. So if it's April 15th, Titanic, but you don't see the sinking, you see the ship at sea, iceberg somewhere on the horizon. The date, the year, and the location are also shown, and sometimes it's obvious, and sometimes it's a guessing game. Today, it's January 30th, 1969 in London. It was the Beatles' rooftop concert, their final public performance, and they played a 42-minute set before the police came and told them to be more quiet. And this shows the moment before, on a rooftop, before starting their final gig together. It looks beautiful. It's not a notification. It's not a dashboard. It's just art that changes every morning and sometimes makes you think. Remember Nader's 7th cron job? Here it is. Every day, his OpenClaw searches Twitter for viral AI trends. Picks one, and then, and this is the wild part, it actually builds a working app inspired by that trend, pushes it to GitHub and sends him the link. Summarizing is one thing, drafting is another. This is autonomous creation. The AI sees a trend, has an idea, writes the code, and ships it every single day. This is the end game. When your AI is shipping code daily without being asked, you have moved past assistance into something new. Now for quick bonus builds just to show the range of possibilities. You can go in 30 minutes from hardware to decoded emergency radio. Zero manual training, the AI researched, configured, and executed autonomously. Hacked smart glasses to give OpenClaw visual input, and AI sees what you see, and people are using it for real-time price comparisons. Broken screen laptop, just rip off the display and run it headless with own Gmail, Telegram, and WhatsApp identity. You get $0 upgrades from your zombie hardware. OpenClaw managing codecs and Claude. Not just using them, but managing them. The AI debates them on code reviews, listens to their arguments, and makes the final call. This is just a tiny part of what's possible, and most of us won't build all of this. But knowing that they're possible changes how you think about what an AI agent can do. Agent skills and memory. Quick note on customization. Skills are tools that you can install. AgentsMD defines how your agent behaves, and soulsMD file sets the personality of your bot. Most people only need AgentsMD, a few rules about how you want responses formatted, and key rule, write everything down, or tell the agent to write everything down. Because LLMs don't have persistent memory, and if you want to remember something, write it to a file. Files survive, mental notes don't. But here's the problem. You write everything down, meeting notes, project details, random ideas, and suddenly you've got thousands of files. How's the AI supposed to find the right one? This is QMD, Quick Markdown Search. Think of it as Google, but for your personal notes, and it runs entirely on your machine. It combines 3 search techniques. Regular keyword search when you know exactly what you're looking for, semantic search when you only have a vague idea, and a smart re-ranker that puts the best matches at the top. And the difference is huge. Instead of dumping your entire vault into your context and hoping that AI finds the right paragraph, QMD gets exactly what you need. There's now a QMD skill, and you can just tell install QMD skill and it will do it itself. Or you can give this URL to your OpenClaw and tell to install it, and it will do a good job. Once you install, your AI doesn't just read files, it remembers where things are, and it runs locally, no cloud needed, and plugs right into your Claude code. Also, you don't need to remember which search type to use. OpenClaw knows this automatically. If you really want, you can tell OpenClaw to do a deep search, and then it will do a re-ranking or semantic, but it does a good job of just figuring stuff out which one to use best. Now the guardrails. Here's how to get all that upside without getting burned. Step 0, go to Gateway Security page on OpenClaw documentation site, give the URL to your OpenClaw, and tell to implement and verify that everything on this page is implemented. That's a must. Next, you can proceed to the guardrails. Guardrail 1, isolation. You can run it in Docker, or you can run it as a Cloudflare worker in the isolated environment, and the agent can't touch your real file system. Read-only root, no network unless you allow it, and the agent literally cannot reach what you don't want it to reach. Guardrail 2, permissions. Read-only email access, when it can draft but cannot send. Some users run a two-phone setup. Personal phone stays private, bot phone handles AI messages. I have a separate number for my bot. This is containing potential blast radius. Guardrail 3, approvals. Don't let the agent do destructive things without asking. File deletions, sending messages, network requests, all require your approval or whitelisting. One more thing, prompt injection is real and as of yet, an unsolved problem in AI in general. A malicious email can try to smuggle some instructions. The mitigations are draft-only mode or approval gates or sandboxing, and don't use small models for this. They are much worse at handling security. Opus is very good at resisting prompt injection. Haiku or other smaller models, not so much. Is it perfect? No. Is it manageable? Yes. Layers of protection. Let's talk money. You saw what happens when things go wrong, $120 overnight from a retry loop. So here's how to avoid it. The biggest lever, strong model for thinking, cheap models for doing. Your orchestrator runs on Opus and it makes decisions. The workers run on cheaper models at a fraction of the cost, and quality stays high because the decision-making actually uses the smart model. 3 cost guardrails, the rules that prevent overnight disasters, stop after 3 failed attempts, define max runtime depending on your tasks. It could be more than 10 minutes, but don't let it run indefinitely. And check your dashboard before bed if everything is going well. This way, if the agent gets stuck, it stops and notifies you instead of burning through your API budget while you sleep. Where to start with more advanced automations? Start with morning briefing. Isolated session, read-only access, no email sending, no file writing, no destructive permissions. Run it for a week, see if it's useful. If it is, expand from there. Safest entry point. For business users, email triage in draft-only mode. Let the agent do all the work and you are the decision maker. For developers, an easy intro is PR summaries with a cheap model. Quick note on deployment. It can be a Mac Mini at home. A lot of you bought them. Cheap VPS like Hutzner. I recorded a video on how to set it up on a $5 server. Or a new option, a Cloudflare worker for a sandboxed and super safe environment. All the links to all the resources are in the description. And if you build something cool, add it to the showcase on Clawdbot. That's 9 automations, 4 wild builds, and the guardrails that keep it all safe. OpenClaw is not for everyone, but if you are the kind of person who wants an AI that actually does things, not just chats, this is where you need to go deep. Subscribe if you want more practical AI content, and go build something crazy and beautiful.